The Vikings were long thought to be just a legend, a story we told ourselves, an ancient threat that once ruled the North. Then, centuries ago, they returned from across the sea. In the wild, the strong feed on the weak. Yet, in our civilized world, it is the other way around. I will not allow that to continue. A vast forest once covered the valley of Valkenheim. We knights cleared that land before the Vikings returned. And when we did, we revealed the ancient ruins of the war-born clans. Imagine our surprise. Even if their mastery of steel is not as complete as ours, they are nevertheless an endlessly inventive. For a full year, the cranes and scaffolds and lumber mills of the Vikings stood silent. No time for build. Vikings record the exploits of their greatest heroes in stone. The markers remind them of the Vikings suffered in the year after we struck them. No seed grain, no summer harvest. It takes a special kind of madness to eat and drink and make merry while your warriors fight and burn and die outside. A millennium ago, Valkenheim was the site of a vast Nordic empire. The Bearclaw clan crushed all resistance. They forced the other clans to serve them. We build new structures on top of the sanctuaries left by our ancestors. But they never match the glory of our past. They were great. We have much to learn from them. The more glory a Viking earns, the greater their legend when they are gone. But unlike us, their god through example, we knights accidentally taught the Vikings the art of siege warfare. I like to think that, in turn, they showed us how to live free. The Vikings worship gods of wood, of storms, and of stone. The samurai gods are of fire, of wind, and of thought. The gods of the knights are iron, steel, and gold. Once the Blackstones were pushed out of Valkenheim, the Vikings would put their shipwrights and their lumber mills back to work. And the Vikings like to tell stories about why they decorate their ships with monsters. But the simplest explanation is the best one. They do it to frighten their enemies. The Vikings had built up their settlements and shipyards over decades, centuries. It took a little more than a year for it all to fall into disrepair. The runes of the Vikings and our own letters must have a common ancestor. The difference is that our letters can be drawn with a quill, whereas theirs require only a chisel.
Can't take the whole fort by myself.
Viking clans do not truly join one another. The war machines of the samurai. The sea fort of the samurai guarded one of the very few places in the mine.
That train should do it. All we needed to do now was push them back.
The samurai had no ancient ancestors in these lands. They came after the fall from another land far to the east. But they had been enthusiastic in their rebuilding.
The battle was won. Only their commander remained.
Before the waters receded, that entrance was a canal. Imagine. Ships sailing through into waters that are now only swamp. The world has changed. The fort's commander was Fujikiyo, a samurai. Taking the beach was one thing. Crossing the mire was another. But there was no plunder to be gained along the shore. The wealth of the samurai lay beyond the swamp. The first scout group the Vikings sent out into the mire never returned. Nor the second. Nor the third.
Warborn, you've done
Control
well to stay...
and defense of the mire is split among the many houses of the daimyo. Their defenses vary in quality. 500 years the samurai have been here. Long enough to call this place their home. Long enough for their work to fall into ruin. Still, we treat them like newcomers. The mire is a dreadful place for an army. It can swallow up an entire force without a trace. Its paths shift and change. But boats are no safer when your enemy has hidden catapults and fire. The mire would claim many Viking lives. Whoever the lone scout was who found that monastery must have wondered what a Blackstone Knight's body was doing there so far from home. They would find out soon enough.
Don't want to stir up too much trouble.
He failed to escape their homeland during their exodus. I have not heard any tales that describe his fate. But 1,000 years ago, this place was underwater, a sea. Our people made cities on its shoreline. Vikings came into the mire once before, decades ago. They came through the waterways with their ships. The sounding of the gongs filled the air. By nightfall, no Viking stood in samurai lands. It was a lesson they would not forget.
I should be quick.
The daimyo in the mire claim to be at peace. But it is strange for a people who are at peace to fight so many battles with each other each year. To the samurai, taking someone prisoner dishonors them. The Vikings built flimsy war machines to break down rotten gates. That bridge was once unassailable. When my people see these statues, they often believe them to be gods or spirits, holy to the samurai. Why is it so hard for us to imagine that they simply are? On days of peace, the samurai bells fill the sky with song. After that day, the song of peace would not ring for a long, long time. When the samurai came into these lands, new plants and animals came with them. They had brought them in caravans. They knew their home was failing. They sought to remake it here. Within that city, the false emperor ruled from his palace. All samurai swore allegiance to him and to his family. They believed...